welcome to this week's BFG review. As always, I want to thank anyone who's watched my previous videos and remind everyone to please like, share, and subscribe because it really does help grow the channel. Now, with that out of the way, on to this week's review, which is Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Directed by J.J. Abrams and starring Daisy Ridley as Rey, Adam Driver as Kylo Ren, John Boyega as Finn, and Oscar Isaac as Poe Dameron. Also starring Carrie Fisher, Anthony Daniels, Billy D. Williams, Mark Hamill, Jonas Suotamo, Kerry Russell, Naomi Ackie, Kelly Marie Tran, and returning as Emperor Palpatine, Ian McDiarmid. The Rise of Skywalker takes place a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away that continues to be ravaged by the First Order while Rey finalizes her training as a Jedi. But danger suddenly arises from the ashes as the evil Emperor Palpatine mysteriously returns from the dead. While working with Finn and Poe Dameron to fulfill a new mission, Rey will not only face Kylo Ren once more, but she will also finally discover the truth about her parents, as well as a deadly secret that could determine her future and the fate of the galaxy in the ultimate showdown. So, obviously, Rise of Skywalker didn't just come out, but since I lost the audio to my original review all those years ago, and I didn't have time to make it to the theaters this week, I thought, why not finally do a review for The Rise of Skywalker and add it to the original video. And, as always, I want to start with my feelings towards Star Wars in general so that you know where I'm coming from. And if you couldn't guess it, I love Star Wars. I grew up on both the original trilogy and the prequels. I played the games, I read the books and the comics, I watched the TV shows. I've had multiple Star Wars themed birthdays in my childhood and adulthood, which makes sense because my birthday is literally Star Wars Day.
It's like it was meant to be.
And when The Force Awakens came out, I thought it was amazing. I even saw it 7 times in theaters. I mean, maybe it was a little too similar to A New Hope, but overall an enjoyable reintroduction to the Star Wars galaxy. I loved The Last Jedi even more. I was so fascinated about where Rian Johnson took the film and the philosophy of the Jedi and Luke himself. Besides the Casino Planet scenes, I was excited for where the films were going. Sadly, I did not like where they ended because Rise of Skywalker, to me, is a pretty big disappointment. But before I get too much into that, let me talk about what I did like, because there are some pretty good, if not great elements in this film. Firstly, it looked amazing. I don't feel we got the same majestic imagery as The Last Jedi, but Rise of Skywalker looks spectacular. It's probably one of the better looking Star Wars films, and there are some really cool frames, especially near the end. And I know how hard they worked on this because I actually know one of the VFX artists that worked on this film. So you did a great job. It looks great. This movie is also pretty funny, especially C-3PO. This is probably the best 3PO has been. He is hilarious without becoming annoying and has some actual sentimental moments as well. I also really like the connection between Rey and Kylo. The literal Force connection they share was established in Last Jedi, but it's further explored here. There's a stunning fight scene about halfway through the film that technically takes place in 2 locations, and some of the transition shots are really awesome. Most of the action in this film is actually pretty fun and intense. The first 2 scenes showcase beautifully the type of action we'll see. First is a brutal scene of Kylo Ren massacring what is assumed as Sith guards, and the second is a creative and high-paced chase scene between some TIE fighters and the Millennium Falcon. I also enjoyed Rey and Kylo's relationship in this film, for the most part. It was fascinating to watch them both struggle with wanting to join the other, and Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver play the parts wonderfully. Pretty much all of the acting is top notch. Not all the characters get a lot to do, but the actors are giving it their all and it shows. Ian McDiarmid returns as the Emperor Palpatine, and I am here for it. He is so much fun in this role, and I am for anything that gets us more Palpatine. While there probably should have been a better explanation of exactly how he returned, using the dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural line as the explanation, I think is perfectly acceptable and actually kinda hilarious. It's also a nice link between the prequels and the sequels. Lastly, I enjoyed the overall vibe of this film. It felt kind of like very treasure huntery, kind of like a fetch quest in a video game, and I actually think it really works well in Star Wars. Not entirely though. Now into the stuff I really didn't think work, and in this section I'm also going to discuss elements that I believe, if changed even slightly, could have greatly improved the film. First, I didn't understand why Rey was so focused on her training at the beginning of the film. I feel they should have given her a better reason of why she wasn't going out on missions. Maybe some Padawans that she was training. There could have also been an interesting parallel to have both her and Kylo isolated from their respective groups because of their missions in the Force, like her potential Padawans and his mission from Palpatine. It could have driven wedges between Kylo and the First Order and Rey and the Resistance and pushed them closer together. While I enjoyed watching their connection unfold, I wish they were given better clarity on what a Force dyad actually was, how it forms, and what it actually means. It just seemed kind of like a plot device that they needed to bring the Emperor fully back. Also, the Knights of Ren in this film were just wasted. They either needed like a solo action scene to demonstrate their skills and stuff, or just be replaced by kind of nondescript special troopers. Finn and Poe were also wasted. Poe got this weird backstory where he was a spice runner and people kept asking him like, how'd you know how to do that? How'd you know how to do that? How'd you know how to do that? And then when they find out that he was a spice runner, they freak out for some reason. And then Finn got an even worse treatment. He was given nothing to do in this film except yell Rey again and again and again, and then meet a girl version of himself. Which brings me to another point. There were too many characters introduced in this film. This is supposed to be the final film, not only capping off a trilogy, but technically a whole saga. And in doing so, you shouldn't be introducing multiple new characters. Another plot device that didn't really work was the Sith blade. It made no sense. The map actually working, it means the Death Star wreckage couldn't have shifted in the last 20 years. It also means that Rey just would have happened to walk in the exact right spot so the blade lines up. Honestly, if it just had the Sith language and then Rey uses her scavenging skills that we saw in The Force Awakens to get through and survive getting through the Death Star, that could have been really cool and would have made a lot more sense. There are also a lot of death fake outs in this film. Chewie, C-3PO, Rey, and Kylo all get death fake outs. And Rey's doesn't even make sense. It's right after she finished destroying the Emperor, but she did it by just reflecting his force lightning at him. And then she just kind of dies. It's almost kind of like Padme, like she just lost the will to live or something. It's not explained. And if it is, it's not explained well. Which brings me to my most hated moment in this film, the Reylo Kiss. There is no need to make them have a romantic relationship, especially since Kylo dies second later. A passionate embrace could have been interpreted either as romantic or platonic, so I think it just would have been a better choice overall. Finally, this film ignores or outright reverses things established in The Last Jedi, especially that film's message of you don't have to come from someone special to be special. It takes that message and perverts it to don't be afraid of yourself / literal bloodline. I feel this message would have been stronger if Rey wasn't a Palpatine, because then the darkness she feels inside herself would have been more coming from her and not just from her evil granddad. It also completely drops the idea of Jedi being potentially misguided in the prequels, which is something I feel like a lot of people wanted to see explored. A lot of these problems are emblematic of what I think is the film's biggest issue, and that is, it's trying to please way too many people. The Last Jedi was definitely controversial, and I believe Lucasfilm did everything they could to please as many people as they could, like bringing back the Emperor, having Rey and Kylo kiss, demoting Kelly Marie Tran to just a background character, giving Finn and Poe separate potential love interests and not much more. Many people predicted that Lucasfilm didn't have a plan for this trilogy from the beginning, and this film definitely proves it. And then finally, there are also a couple lines that made me roll my eyes. The first is when almost everyone yells, "They fly now?" in regards to the stormtroopers. This line makes no sense because they live in a galaxy where jetpacks have been commonplace for hundreds of years. and previous versions of stormtroopers and clone troopers have had jetpacks. And then second is when Rey grabs the Sith blade and she feels like a disturbance in the Force and says horrible things happened with this. And while at the same time she's holding Anakin's old lightsaber, which is a lightsaber that was used in a genocide, including the slaughtering of children. So it's like, yeah, what one are you talking about? Sorry, those are just two lines that I had to bring up because I thought they were just so ridiculous, and it showed, I think some people writing this film wrote whatever they needed to write to get them from point A to point B. In the end, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker is an enjoyable yet frustrating and ultimately disappointing finale to the Skywalker Saga. Maybe with a bit more planning and heavier focus on satisfying character arcs rather than pleasing everyone, Rise of Skywalker would have earned better than a C+ letter grade. So those are my thoughts on the film. Let me know your thoughts on the film, as well as your thoughts on the drawing in the comment section down below. If you want to hear me have more in-depth discussions on film, check out I Know You with Derek and Jamie anywhere you find podcasts. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that bell icon to be notified anytime I release a new video. Thanks everyone, and may the Force be with you.